the ones who left because of my situation. People say, difficult times reveal who truly belongs in your life. I never understood that sentence when I was younger. Back then, life looked simple to me. I believed friendships lasted forever. Promises were real and love could survive anything. I thought if you treated people with honesty and kindness, they would stand beside you no matter what happened. But life has its own cruel way of teaching lessons. My name is Ayan, and this is the story of how my circumstances took everyone away from me. I was born in a small town surrounded by dusty roads, broken streetlights and old houses that looked tired from carrying years of sorrow. My father worked at a mechanic shop while my mother stitched clothes at home to support the family. We were not rich, but we were happy in our own small world. Every evening my father returned home with grease-covered hands and a tired smile. Despite being exhausted, he always sat beside me and asked about school. Study hard, he used to say. Your life should not become like mine. I promised him I would make him proud. At school, I was known as the bright student. Teachers appreciated me, classmates admired me, and neighbors often told my parents that I would become successful one day. Those words filled my parents with hope, and hope was the only luxury we could truly afford. As years passed, life slowly began changing. My father's health started getting worse because of years of hard labor. He developed breathing problems but ignored them because treatment was expensive. My mother worked longer hours, sometimes staying awake until midnight to finish stitching clothes for customers. I could see the tiredness in their eyes. So I decided to work part-time after school. Every evening I delivered groceries on an old bicycle across the town. During summers I worked at a tea stall. Sometimes people insulted me, laughed at my worn-out clothes, or treated me like I was invisible. But I tolerated everything because I had dreams. Big dreams. I wanted to become an engineer. I wanted to buy my parents a beautiful house. I wanted my mother to stop stitching clothes under weak yellow lights. And I wanted my father to breathe peacefully without worrying about money. In college, life finally seemed better. I earned a scholarship because of my grades and moved to the city. For the first time, I felt close to achieving my dreams. The city was beautiful. Tall buildings touched the sky, streets glowed at night, and people looked confident and successful. I believed my suffering was finally ending. That was also where I met my friends. There were 5 of us. Hamza, the funny one. Danish, who always talked about becoming rich. Ali, who loved photography. Said, who never stopped joking. And me. We spent countless nights together discussing dreams, relationships, and the future. We promised each other that no matter what happened, we would remain brothers forever. At that time, I believed them. Among all those beautiful days, one person became the most special part of my life. Her name was Zara. I met her in the college library during winter. She sat near the window reading a novel while sunlight touched her face softly. I still remember how peaceful she looked. She noticed me staring and smiled. That smile changed everything. We started talking regularly after that day. Slowly, conversations became friendship, and friendship became love. For the first time in my life, I felt understood. Zara listened to my struggles without judging me. She encouraged me whenever I felt hopeless. You will become successful one day, she said once. I can see it in your eyes. Her words healed parts of me that nobody else noticed were broken. I started imagining a future with her. A small home, peaceful evenings, a life far away from pain. But happiness never stays forever. One evening, while I was preparing for exams, I received a call from my mother. Her voice was shaking. Ayan, your father collapsed. My heart stopped. I rushed back to my hometown immediately. The hospital smelled of medicine and fear. Doctors told us my father's lungs were severely damaged. He needed expensive treatment that we could never afford. I felt helpless. I sold my laptop, then my phone, then my bike. Still, it wasn't enough. I started missing college classes because I had to work day and night to support my family. Slowly, everything began slipping away from my hands. At first, my friends supported me. They called often. They asked about my father. They told me not to lose hope. But with time, their calls became fewer. Their messages became shorter. And eventually, silence replaced concern. One day, I saw photos on social media of all my friends enjoying a trip together. Nobody invited me. Nobody even remembered me. That was the day I understood something painful. People love you when your life is easy. Very few stay when life becomes heavy. Zara was still with me during those difficult months. She visited the hospital. She brought food for my mother. She encouraged me when I broke down emotionally. Sometimes I wondered how someone could be so kind. But life tested even that relationship. As my financial condition worsened, I became stressed and emotionally distant. I stopped smiling, I stopped dreaming. I became a man filled with worries. One evening, Zara looked at me quietly and said, "You've changed." I wanted to explain everything. The pressure, the fear, the exhaustion, but words failed me. Days later, she stopped replying to my messages regularly. Then one night she called me. Her voice sounded different. "Ayaan, my family wants me to marry someone else." I felt my chest tighten. She cried while speaking. "They say you have no future, and honestly, maybe they are right." Those words shattered me completely, not because she left, but because deep inside, I had started believing the same thing about myself. A month later, my father died. The world became silent after that day. I still remember standing beside his grave, while cold wind moved through the cemetery. People offered condolences and slowly walked away, but I remained there for hours because I felt lost. The man who spent his entire life protecting us was gone, and suddenly I became responsible for everything. My mother, our home, our debts, our future. I was only 23 years old, but life had already made me feel ancient. After my father's death, things became worse. Debt collectors visited our house regularly. Some relatives who once respected us started avoiding us. Neighbors whispered about our financial problems. Even family members kept distance from us, as if poverty were contagious. I searched for jobs everywhere. Restaurants, shops, offices, warehouses, but rejection followed me endlessly. "You lack experience. Well, call you later. There are better candidates." Every rejection slowly destroyed my confidence. At night, I often sat alone on the rooftop staring at the dark sky. I questioned everything. Why do good people suffer? Why does life punish those already struggling? Why do people disappear when you need them most? But the sky never answered. One rainy evening, I accidentally met Hamza after almost a year. He was standing outside a cafe wearing expensive clothes and holding car keys in his hand. For a moment, I felt happy. Maybe my friend still remembered me. But his reaction hurt me more than silence. "Oh, Ayaan," he said awkwardly. We talked for less than 2 minutes. He looked uncomfortable the entire time. Before leaving, he said, "Bro, life gets busy, you know?" Busy, such a small word, yet it hides so many excuses. I watched him drive away while rain soaked my clothes. That night I cried for the first time in months, not because of money, not because of failure, but because I realized I was completely alone. Years passed slowly. Life remained difficult, but something inside me changed. Pain hardened me, loneliness taught me independence, and suffering forced me to grow stronger. I stopped expecting help from people. Instead, I focused entirely on survival. I worked multiple jobs. During mornings, I loaded boxes at a warehouse. At night, I worked at a small restaurant cleaning tables. Sometimes I slept only 3 hours. Sometimes I skipped meals to save money, but I never gave up, because my mother still depended on me, and somewhere deep inside, a tiny part of me still believed life could improve. One day, an old customer at the restaurant noticed my dedication. He owned a small construction company. After hearing my story, he offered me a job as an assistant. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a beginning. I worked harder than everyone else. I learned quickly. I stayed late. Within 2 years, I earned a promotion. For the first time in years, life slowly started becoming stable again. We moved into a better apartment. My mother smiled more often. The darkness around us finally began fading. Then something unexpected happened. The same people who disappeared during my worst days suddenly returned. Old friends messaged me again. Relatives invited us to family gatherings. People who ignored me now spoke respectfully. Even Zara tried contacting me after years. But I had changed. I no longer hated them, yet I no longer trusted them either. Because difficult times reveal truth more honestly than words ever can. One evening I sat beside my mother on our apartment balcony, while sunset painted the sky orange. She looked at me proudly and said, "Your father would be proud of you." For a moment, tears filled my eyes. All those years of suffering suddenly felt meaningful. I realized something important that evening. The people who left because of my circumstances were never truly mine. Real people stay during storms. Real love survives hardship. Real friendship does not disappear when life becomes ugly. And perhaps losing fake people was not a tragedy after all. Maybe it was protection. Today I still carry scars from those years. Sometimes loneliness still hurts. Sometimes memories still return unexpectedly, but I am no longer broken by them. Because pain taught me strength, rejection taught me self-respect, and abandonment taught me the value of genuine people. If you're reading this while going through difficult times, remember one thing. Do not beg people to stay. If someone leaves because your life became hard, let them go. The right people will stand beside you even when you have nothing. And one day, after surviving every painful night, you will look back and realize your circumstances did not destroy you. They revealed who truly cared.